The National Memorial for Peace and Justice, located in Montgomery, Alabama, is one of the first memorials in the United States to acknowledge and begin a conversation around the racial lynchings that terrorized African Americans in the United States between the late 1800s and the early 1900s. It is a memorial dedicated to the legacy of enslaved African Americans, people terrorized by lynchings, and begins to spark the conversation into present-day assumptions and police violence. The memorial is categorized into 4 divisions. The first division is the initial journey, where visitors are introduced into the background of slavery and the transatlantic slave trade. The second division is the main memorial, where visitors are surrounded by court and steel markers and the listings of state counties and the number of lynchings within them. The third division is the graveyard of unclaimed monuments, where replicas of the steel markers are waiting for state counties to claim them. The fourth division is the burial mound where visitors are judged by the dead, and it is where our pavilion is situated. The pavilion is an extension of the existing memorial, and it documents the creation of a self-sustaining machine. Utilizing a series of parameters and computational design techniques, we experimented with different facets of machines that can be divided into a multitude of categories. Our machine exists as a spatial framework that transforms textiles into multiple dimensions. Built in the center of the site on a burial mound that captures the grandeur of the memorial, visitors enter the pavilion and then are judged by the dead. The pavilion symbolizes spirits escaping from history's earthly sins and into freedom. It builds upon the memorial's narrative by introducing visitors to the experiences of one specific narrative, the story of Jesse Washington. The AR Viewport projects video footage of Jesse Washington's final moments and story within the pavilion. Hosting one guest at a time, this experience provides a singular emotional journey while also interacting with the pavilion's design, creating a solitary, emotional point of view for the guest. Here, we see what's revealed in the viewport.
Southern trees bear strange fruit.
Jesse Washington was an African-American 17-year-old farmhand who was lynched in the county of Waco, Texas, on May 15, 1916. In Robinson, Texas, Lucy Fryer was murdered while alone at her house on May 8, 1916. She was found clubbed to death, sprawled across the doorway of the farm's seed shed. The local men suspected that Jesse Washington was responsible, because one man said he had seen Washington near the Fryer house a few minutes before Lucy's body was discovered. On the morning of May 15th, Waco's courthouse quickly filled to capacity in anticipation of the trial. The trial lasted about 1 hour. After 4 minutes of deliberation, Washington was convicted of raping and murdering Lucy Fryer and sentenced to death. Washington was chained by his neck and dragged out of the county courthouse by observers. He was then paraded through the street, all while being stabbed and beaten, before being held down and castrated. Over 10,000 spectators, including city officials and police, gathered to watch the attack. Members of the mob cut off his fingers and hung him over a bonfire after saturating him with coal oil. He was repeatedly lowered and raised over the fire for about 2 hours. After the fire was extinguished, his charred torso was dragged through the town and parts of his body were sold as souvenirs. There was a celebratory atmosphere among whites at the spectacle of the murder, and many children attended during their lunch hour. A professional photographer took pictures as the event unfolded, providing rare imagery of a lynching in progress. The pictures were printed and sold as postcards in Waco, Texas.
For the tree to drop, here's a strange and bitter cry.
Thousands of African Americans are unknown victims of racial terror lynchings, whose deaths cannot be documented, many whose names will never be known. They are honored in this memorial, and today, Jesse Washington is honored through the makings of this project. Future pavilions will call for different configurations where a new name will be honored.